Before the story begins, imagine a child who can't explain what she feels, whose world is quiet, orderly, sometimes overwhelming. Now imagine a dog trained for danger, but who discovers his most important mission is simply to understand her. If this story touches something deep in you, like this video to honor those who protect without needing words, share it with someone who believes connection can come in unexpected ways. Comment below if you've ever been saved by presence, not explanation. Subscribe for more true stories where loyalty speaks louder than language. The parking lot was chaos, flashing lights, crowds shouting, a woman screaming her daughter's name into the wind. "Mia! Mia, please!" But no answer came. Somewhere beyond the fences, past the carnival rides, past the balloons and food stalls, a little girl stood alone at the tree line. 6 years old, dark curls, eyes wide, shoes missing. Her name was Mia, and she hadn't said a word in over 2 years. Diagnosed with severe nonverbal autism, Mia had wandered off when the music got too loud, when the crowd pressed in too close, when her world tipped sideways. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just disappeared into the woods. Search parties were forming. Drones were being prepared. But Officer Delgado didn't wait. He opened the back of his cruiser, and out stepped Blitz, K9 unit, German Shepherd, trained for search and rescue, precise, focused, unshakable. No one knew if a dog could track a child who didn't speak, who didn't call for help, who left no trail of words, only silence. But Blitz didn't wait for a voice. He lowered his nose to the grass and began to run, because sometimes the most important cries are the ones you can't hear. Mia lived in a world of patterns. The hum of the refrigerator, the flutter of curtains, the flick of her fingers in front of the window, over and over and over. Words didn't come easily, not since she was 3. Doctors called it Level 3 Autism Spectrum Disorder, nonverbal, highly sensitive to touch, sound, and unpredictability. But her mother called it beautiful. "She's not broken," she often told the teachers. "She just listens in a different frequency." Mia loved motion, spinning leaves, ceiling fans, the smooth loop of her toy train. What she didn't love was noise, suddenness, crowds, being touched without warning. The carnival had been a mistake. Her mother thought Mia might enjoy the lights, the colors, but the music was too loud, the people too close. Mia covered her ears, pressed her face into her hands, and when no one was looking, she walked, away from the rides, past the exit gate, through a gap in the fence, toward the trees, not to run, not to hide, just to find quiet. Blitz wasn't just any police dog. He was bred for precision, raised for order, trained to follow sound, scent, and scream. Crowd control, missing persons, disaster zones. He never failed a mission. But Blitz's strength wasn't just in speed or scent. It was in stillness. While other dogs barked, Blitz waited, watched, understood. Officer Delgado noticed it early. During a school drill, other dogs became agitated by screaming students. Blitz. He walked past them all and sat beside a boy in the corner, rocking quietly, hands over ears. The boy hadn't called for help, but Blitz went to him anyway. Delgado leaned down and whispered, "You don't just hear noise, do you? You hear what's missing." Since then, Blitz had been used in special cases. Children who wandered, children who didn't speak, but nothing like Mia. No shoes, no sound, no pattern to follow. Still. When Delgado gave the command, Blitz didn't hesitate. He turned toward the woods. Because some dogs don't track footsteps, they track fear. The woods were quiet. No sirens, no voices, just the wind moving through the branches. Blitz paused near a fallen log, nose to the ground. Then he stopped, ears forward, tail low. Ahead, just beyond the bramble, a tiny figure sat with her back to a tree, shoeless, hands fluttering, eyes locked on the dancing light between leaves. It was Mia. She didn't cry, didn't move, but her fingers were trembling. Blitz approached slowly, not like a tracker, like a shadow. No bark, no growl, no sound at all. When she noticed him, she didn't scream. She tilted her head. He lay down, low to the ground, then crawled forward inch by inch. She held out her hand, not to touch, to mirror. He mirrored her, paw raised, still, waiting. And in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. "You don't scare me, and I won't leave." Blitz didn't rush her. He simply stayed, lying in the moss, breathing slowly, matching her stillness. Mia's fingers fluttered, then paused. She inched forward, pressed her forehead against his shoulder, not for comfort, for regulation. His heartbeat calmed hers. Blitz turned his body, positioned himself so she could hold on to his vest strap. He took one step, then waited. Mia followed. No leash, no command, just rhythm, breath, trust. It took 47 minutes to walk back to the clearing. Officer Delgado and Mia's mother were waiting, breathless. When they saw her, muddy, barefoot, alive, her mom collapsed in tears. But Mia didn't run to her. She stood beside Blitz, touched his ear, pressed her cheek to his neck. A medic tried to reach for her. She flinched. Blitz moved between them, not aggressively, protectively. Delgado stepped in, kneeling to Mia's level. "He's your friend, huh?" She looked at Blitz. Then slowly, deliberately, she nodded. For the first time in years. At home, Mia didn't retreat into her room like she used to. She went straight to the living room rug, sat cross-legged, and waited. Her mom didn't understand at first. Then headlights pulled into the driveway, and a black and tan silhouette stepped out of the cruiser. Blitz. Delgado smiled at the door. "We're just visiting. For now, inside, Mia reached for Blitz's vest strap again. Not to pull, to anchor. Delgado watched them in silence, then handed Mia's mom a folder. Therapy canine transfer forms, not common for an active duty dog. But after what we saw, he's not just working, he's bonded. Her mom's voice cracked. He's the first living thing she's let touch her in years. Delgado nodded. And she's the first person he's waited for. Over the next days, Blitz became part of their routine. He didn't play fetch. He didn't beg for food. But when Mia flapped her hands, he watched with calm eyes. When she lay on the floor during meltdowns, he pressed his side against hers, breathing slow, until she matched him. He never demanded, never rushed. He simply stayed. And in that staying, Mia began to return. Returning to school was never the plan. But one morning, Mia stood at the door, shoes on, vest strap in hand, Blitz sitting patiently beside her. Her mom understood. You want to go with him? At school, the principal hesitated. We've never had a student bring a police dog. Delgado arrived with papers, official clearance, therapy canine certification. One line highlighted, handler Mia Rivera, age 6, nonverbal. In class, Mia didn't sit in the back anymore. She sat by the window, Blitz at her feet. When the lights flickered during a storm drill, Mia tensed. Fingers twitched, breath caught. Blitz pressed against her leg, grounded her. She didn't panic. She whispered. One word. Stay. Her teacher dropped the marker, not because of the word, but because of who it came from. Mia, her first spoken word in over 2 years, and she said it for a dog who had never left. After that day, everything shifted. Mia didn't become loud. She didn't join games or answer every question, but she looked people in the eye. She touched Blitz's head in front of others, and sometimes she smiled. Her classmates stopped staring. They started drawing pictures of Blitz, started sitting near her during lunch. One boy brought his favorite toy and placed it beside her tray. He stays with you, he said. So I figured I will too. Mia didn't reply, but she didn't move the toy away either. Her mom noticed changes too. At home, Mia started organizing books by color, letting her brush her hair, even sitting beside her on the couch, shoulder to shoulder, with Blitz always nearby. One evening, her mom whispered to Delgado, "She's not just coming back, she's leading the way." At bedtime, Mia traced her fingers along Blitz's badge tag. Then, in a voice barely above breath, said, "You stay. I stay." And that night, for the first time, she slept with her door open. Spring brought change, not just in weather, but in how the world saw Mia. She and Blitz began visiting a nearby special education classroom once a week. No pressure, no performance, just presence. Children who never made eye contact started reaching toward Blitz. One girl placed a sticker on his vest. Another boy leaned against him and finally stopped rocking. Mia didn't say much, but her silence wasn't empty anymore. It was anchoring. Her teacher asked if she'd like to help read a story. Mia didn't answer, but the next week she brought a book, sat beside Blitz, opened to the first page, pointed to the words, and let her finger move while the teacher read aloud. A boy beside her whispered, "She's helping us." Delgado later told her mom, "Some officers spend their whole careers trying to make that kind of difference. She's doing it at 6. That evening, her mom asked Mia, "Why do you like helping?" Mia placed her hand on Blitz's back and whispered, "Because he did." Mia didn't become someone else. She became fully herself. At a community event for Autism Awareness Month, the mayor asked if she'd like to say something. Everyone expected a silent nod or a smile. Instead, Mia walked to the podium, Blitz at her side. She took out a card. On it, 3 handwritten words, "I hear you." She didn't read them aloud. She held the card up, with steady hands and steady breath. The room went silent. Tears, applause, a standing ovation not for noise, but for presence. After the event, children came forward, some shy, some curious, some who didn't speak either. They didn't ask questions. They just sat beside Mia and Blitz and understood. Her story was picked up by a local paper. The girl who spoke without words, and the dog who taught her how. In the photo, Mia held Blitz's face in her hands, and Blitz, ever patient, looked right at her, as if to say, "We did it, together." Some children speak with words, some with movement, some with silence. But all of them deserve to be heard. Blitz didn't understand every behavior, didn't need a diagnosis. He just stayed. He matched her stillness. He honored her world, exactly as it was. And in doing so, he made space for Mia to step into this one. She didn't change for the world. She changed the world around her by being exactly who she was. Because sometimes, the greatest rescue isn't pulling someone from danger. It's seeing the part of them no one else bothered to look for. And sometimes, the one who helps you find your voice never says a single word.